welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Chris Costa.
And I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
So Joanne, what do you think we should cover tonight?
I thought maybe we could talk about the AVA Tax interface, how do you install and configure it and use it?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. AVA Tax, short for Avalara, it's one of our interfaces that we have. Avalara is a tax software, so we've developed this interface that will communicate with AVA Tax as a way of being able to use another program to really calculate what the actual tax should be for all the invoices that get saved in Enterprise.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so first of all, it is an asset that doesn't come with Enterprise. You should, people should talk to Enterprise, talk to us. It is a separate interface that does need to be purchased and registered.
Okay.
Okay, we would then provide a separate little install for it.
Okay.
And then there is a little bit of configuration as you suggested, so we can take a look at that.
Yeah, we could start with the configuration, that would be great.
Okay, sure. Okay, so after it's installed, like I said, we would provide the install files for you. So once that's done, you can go under the Utilities panel here, under Interface Configurations, and you do need to set up AVA Tax as a interface option. Okay, so you would click Add. I'll edit and just show you what's under here, but you would click Add to add a new one. AVA Tax is going to be underneath the application name. Okay, so you would just set one up for AVA Tax. You need the web service URL, okay, which we can give you that. And then these two other pieces of information here you would get from Avalara. You would get the web service username and the license key.
And that's for your account.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So you get that from AVA Tax. Okay, save that interface. Now one other thing, we put this information up underneath the AR system now. So if you actually open up the AR system screen, we've added the AVA Tax configuration in here also. Alright, so you can see it in here with a little bit more information. You can test the connection. There's a quick launch to the AVA Tax website. And there's a checkbox there if you wanted to, for whatever reason, disable document committing. What happens is when the invoice is saved, they'll write out to AVA Tax. Once we post the batch, they commit.
Okay.
So if for some reason you wanted to stop that, you could disable that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. One other thing about the configuration I want to mention here. So I'll jump out of AR for the time being here. You do want to set up your tax codes. Now you don't have to set up, hundreds of tax codes here for all the different options. You can simplify it and really just set up taxable, non-taxable code and a jurisdiction. You do want to set up your taxable with some percentage. You can set it up with 1%, 2%. It doesn't really matter because AVA Tax is going to calculate what the tax should be anyway.
Okay, so it's not going to really use that number for anything.
Correct.
Okay.
There just has to be something there. There needs to be something there that ends up on the invoice as a way to kind of trigger the whole thing to work.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so that pretty much is all that's required to set it up. And then there's one more thing in AR as far as the on-off switch to use the interface. So if I jump back to AR for 1 second, okay, there's an option here to use the AVA Tax interface.
Okay, so even if you don't have it installed, it's not going to work unless you check that off.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Okay, so you set up the interface configuration. You can test it, turn it on with the option, set up your tax codes. And
you're ready to go?
That's essentially it.
Can we take a look at using it in an interface?
Sure.
I mean, in
the
invoice. Thank
sure,
you.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll back out of here. Now I set up a job ahead of time here to kind of run through this. And a quick little backstory before we actually pull the job into an invoice. This is going to look at the shipments for the order. All right, so each order should have, you can have as many shipments on it as you want, but AVA Tax is going to look at the shipments. We send over shipment information as a way to pull back the tax rate.
So it is going to tax based on what shipped to what location?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to go into my job closeout, and I've got this job here. Okay. I'm just going to trigger this with a partial invoice and not worry about closing out the job. Okay. So I'm going to bring it in. Now notice the tax rate here, I purposely set the tax rate as 1%. Okay, and we can see that's what's coming in here initially.
Okay.
All right. So when the interface doesn't get called until the transaction gets saved.
Okay.
So initially this is going to appear incorrect until you save the transaction. Okay, because that's what's actually calling out to the interface and returning back the accurate tax value. So once I okay and save the record, now when we go up to the batch, notice the tax rate has been changed. Okay, that's the real accurate tax rate
Okay.
for the address that we have on this invoice.
And if there are multiple addresses, that just would be the full amount for all the different addresses.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So, our customers should set up AVA Tax with all the tax rates, any rules, tax exemptions, all that. They would kind of configure all that on the AVA Tax side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They can open this invoice up as often as they need to, make any changes. As soon as they hit save, it'll call out to the interface and return back the correct tax information.
Okay, great.
Okay. We write the information back to AVA Tax when it's saved, but it's not going to commit until they actually post the batch.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why they can open up the invoice, make any changes they want here. When they post the batch is when it'll actually commit
Okay.
on the AVA Tax side.
And then all the tax reporting would happen on the AVA Tax side.
That's right.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
So, if you're in California, New York, Florida, where you've got just, 50, 60 jurisdiction, county type scenarios, this could make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Okay. So, yeah. Any other questions?
No, that was great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, thanks for watching. This was another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Chris Costa.
And I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
Please look forward for more to come.